Imagine, you are about to step into a masterclass on the psychology of sales.
Okay.
You are going to learn how to build instant, unshakable trust, how to read body language,
Right.
how to diffuse tension before a single word is even spoken,
And
and
how to close deals with, like, absolute engineering level precision.
exactly. But here is the kicker. You are doing all of this while completely covered in soot.
Yeah, it's quite the vivid scenario, right? But that is exactly the highly specialized and honestly surprisingly fascinating world we're unpacking today.
We really are. So in this deep dive, we're looking at a 12-step sales process developed specifically for chimney sweeps.
Right, but the psychological mechanisms behind it, I mean, they apply to virtually any human interaction where trust and persuasion are required.
For sure. And our guide for this is an excerpt from a book by Ray Gessner. And Ray brings a really fascinating background to the table.
He really does.
He holds a master's degree in engineering, but he has owned and operated a successful chimney sweep business for over 25 years.
So he's essentially taken the rigorous analytical mindset of an engineer and applied it to blue-collar sales.
Yeah, it's a brilliant synthesis. He doesn't just look at a chimney as a structural problem.
No, he looks at the homeowner's anxiety as a structural problem,
Hmm.
one that needs to be systematically dismantled and resolved.
And before we dive into the actual mechanics of how he does that, I have to let you, our listener, in on a highly unique opportunity.
Oh yeah, this is huge.
If you find the psychology of this even half as fascinating as we do, you can actually learn directly from the architect himself.
Right. Ray Gessner is hosting a live, 1-hour Google Meet webinar.
Yes, it is this coming Saturday, March 28th, 2026, at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Mark your calendars.
Seriously. Today, we are focusing heavily on Chapter 7 of his book, which details this exact 12-step process. So this deep dive is going to prime you perfectly for that event.
It is a perfect companion to what we're about to discuss.
Again, that is Saturday, March 28th, 2026, at 4 p.m. EST. You will not want to miss it.
Absolutely not. So to really understand Ray's approach, you have to look at where the sale actually begins.
Right.
It's not in the living room. It begins in the mind of the technician and out in the driveway of the homeowner.
Yeah, Ray calls this step 1 the foundation. And this is where he throws a massive curveball.
He really does.
He connects the mindset of a chimney sweep directly to quantum physics, specifically Schrodinger's equation.
I know, it sounds wild.
He argues that expecting a positive outcome actually influences the physical result of the appointment. Now, I have to be honest, when I read that, my immediate thought was, isn't this just The Secret?
Right, like manifestation.
Yeah. Quantum physics for a chimney sweep feels a bit woo-woo for a trade that involves scrubbing ash out of a brick tube.
It sounds like mystical thinking on the surface, but when you strip away the physics terminology, he is talking about pure, actionable behavioral psychology.
Okay, unpack that a bit.
Well, in quantum mechanics, the act of observation affects the state of a system, right?
Oh.
Ray is applying that to human interaction.
So, like, your vibe affects the room.
Exactly. If a technician approaches a job expecting the homeowner to be hostile or expecting to lose the sale, their micro-expressions, their posture, and their tone of voice will unconsciously broadcast that insecurity.
Oh, wow. So they effectively collapse the probability of the outcome in a negative direction.
Precisely. It's essentially a self-fulfilling prophecy.
If you walk in looking defeated, the homeowner instantly senses that lack of confidence and just, puts their guard up.
Yeah, think about elite athletes. A championship quarterback has already mentally played the game 100 times before stepping onto the field.
The mind writes the script, and the body simply executes it.
Right. Ray is demanding that his technicians visualize a successful inspection and a collaborative homeowner before they even turn off the ignition in the driveway.
And it is not purely mental either, which I love. The physical foundation has to match.
Oh, the rules for the physical foundation are strict.
Very. He mandates a meticulously clean truck, securely tied down ladders, and arriving exactly 5 minutes early.
And then there's the driveway rule.
Yes. This resonated so deeply with me. Never, ever block the homeowner's driveway.
It's such a simple thing, but so critical.
Think about the last time a plumber or an electrician came to your house. If they parked their massive van right behind your car, blocking you in, didn't you instantly feel a spike of anxiety?
Oh, absolutely. You
Yeah.
feel trapped on your own property.
Exactly.
That is precisely the emotional reaction Ray is trying to prevent. If your ladders are rattling loosely on your truck and you've parked the client in, well, you've manufactured stress before you have even introduced yourself.
It's like the opening scene of a movie. If it's chaotic, the audience loses trust.
Right. And he also trains technicians to scan the neighborhood before they even knock.
What are they looking for?
Looking at neighboring chimneys gives you structural clues about the wind patterns and construction styles of that specific subdivision.
Oh, that's smart. So it sharpens your diagnostic mindset before the homeowner even opens the door.
Exactly. Which brings us to the actual introduction.
Right. Step 2, greeting the client. And this is choreographed down to the inch.
It really is. Ray insists technicians must knock on the door. They are never allowed to use the doorbell.
And the reasoning is so profoundly empathetic.
Well, it's all about cortisol.
Yeah, doorbells cause an immediate cortisol spike. They startle dogs into barking, they wake up sleeping babies, and they cause absolute chaos inside the house.
It is about controlling the emotional temperature of the environment. If the homeowner opens the door while trying to restrain a barking dog and apologize for the noise, they are flustered.
They are listening to you.
No, they're not. But the choreography continues after the knock. The technician is instructed to take a physical step back away from the door, giving the homeowner ample personal space.
And they stand at a slight angle, right,
Yeah.
which creates an open, non-confrontational posture.
Exactly. And they do this while visibly holding a clipboard and a flashlight.
It is such a subtle visual cue. It signals, I am an organized professional here to do a specific job rather than I am a random stranger lingering on your porch.
Right. Then, the moment the door opens, the technician uses the client's name and offers an authentic compliment about the home to establish instant rapport.
When you look at steps 1 and 2 together, you realize they are entirely about establishing a baseline of psychological safety.
You cannot prescribe a solution without a thorough diagnosis.
And you absolutely cannot get permission to diagnose if the client is feeling defensive or on edge.
Precisely. So you've calmed the homeowner down, the tension is gone, and you are inside the house.
But you still can't just start pitching a cleaning service.
No, you need to figure out what they actually care about.
Which leads into step 3, the client initial questionnaire. But this isn't just the technician making casual small talk.
No, they use a physical, printed 8.5 by 11 double-sided flyer.
First, they gather the basic history, like when was the chimney last cleaned, how often do you use it?
Standard stuff.
Right. But then they dig into functional clues. They ask, do you have trouble opening the damper? Do you hear animal noises? Is smoke entering the room?
Gathering a history is standard practice in any trade, but Ray elevates this by teaching his technicians to ask one crucial, open-ended question.
What is the most important factor regarding your fireplace?
Yes, this is a masterclass in active listening.
It really is, because the answer completely changes the job.
Entirely.
One homeowner might say, well, I need this fireplace to heat my entire house during winter power outages, which means they need maximum efficiency.
Right.
Another homeowner might say, I literally just want it to look pretty and safely burn a single log on Christmas Eve.
Exactly. By uncovering the client's core motivation, it transforms a standard transactional service into a collaboration.
So the technician can now tailor their entire inspection and recommendations in a way that directly serves the homeowner's stated values.
Yep. So you know what they want.
Mm.
Now you have to find the invisible problems they don't even know they have.
Step 4, the chimney inspection.
The technician moves methodically, starting from the interior, and they leverage some incredibly practical technology here.
Yeah, they attach a phone to a selfie stick to inspect the hidden smoke shelf located right behind the damper.
That smoke shelf is a massive blind spot. Homeowners can't see it just by sticking their head into the firebox.
Right.
And it is critical because the technician is looking for dead animals or dangerous creosote buildup.
Let's actually pause on that for a second, because creosote is a word that gets thrown around a lot in this industry.
It does.
For those who aren't familiar, creosote is essentially a highly combustible, tar-like residue. It builds up on the inside of the chimney flue when wood doesn't burn completely.
And it's incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, if that thick, sticky residue catches fire inside your chimney, it can easily reach over 2,000 degrees and burn the entire house down.
So finding it is literally a matter of life and death.
Exactly. And while looking for that creosote, they are also evaluating the structural integrity of the masonry.
This is where Ray's engineering background shines brilliantly.
A wind tension thing.
Yes. When a homeowner looks up and sees a crack in their chimney, their natural assumption is almost always that the foundation of the house is settling.
Right. That's a logical guess.
It is. But Ray trains his team to understand the physics. Chimneys are tall, slender masonry structures extending high above the roofline.
So they effectively act like a bending column under wind pressure.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Over 20 or 30 years, this constant lateral wind tension causes the rigid masonry to crack. It usually has absolutely nothing to do with the foundation.
Understanding the physics completely changes the diagnosis. And here is where the process gets incredibly modern.
A tech integration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While the technician is taking all these photos of the smoke shelf and the masonry cracks, those images are being uploaded in real time to a cloud-based server.
And back at the home office, an AI-assisted quality control team starts generating a report.
They pull up the relevant building codes and generate standardized cost estimates based on the photos.
It is a massive leap forward in industry progression.
It's like having a medical board reviewing your x-rays in real time while you're still sitting on the exam table.
Exactly.
But I do have to challenge this a bit.
Okay. Yeah.
If I am paying a premium price for an expert technician to come to my house, and they are essentially just uploading photos to an AI app to tell them what to do.
Doesn't that undermine their personal authority?
Right. Doesn't it make the human being standing in my living room seem, well, obsolete?
It is a very valid concern, but the reality of how this functions is the exact opposite.
How so?
The AI does not replace the technician's expertise. It acts as a fail-safe that elevates the standard of care.
Okay, so it's a tool, not a replacement.
Right. It ensures that no obscure national safety codes are missed and that the financial estimates are completely standardized rather than being guessed at.
That makes sense.
What it actually does is free up the technician's cognitive load because they aren't stressing about doing math in their head or remembering a specific paragraph of the fire code. They can focus entirely on the homeowner's emotional experience.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So the AI has crunched the numbers, but raw data is terrifying to a homeowner.
Very much so.
You can't just hand them a bill for a cracked flue. The homeowner needs to know who is giving them this data before they ever look at a price tag.
That is why Ray shifts into step 5, the company story.
Right. Before showing the damage, the technician presents a company story flyer alongside a completely transparent price list.
They share the founder's mission, they show their state licensing, and they provide proof of robust liability insurance.
By demonstrating that the company has longevity and protection, the dynamic shifts.
You are no longer dealing with a stranger making a sales pitch. You are building a relationship with an established institution.
And they back that authority up with step 6, industry progression.
Yeah, the history lesson.
Exactly. The technician explains, hey, 20 years ago, chimney sweeps used Polaroid photos that were blurry, dark, and hard to share. Today, we use real-time digital photography backed by artificial intelligence.
It proves to the client that this company isn't stuck in the past. They are cutting edge.
Which perfectly sets the stage for step 7, the chimney report preview.
Notice how deliberate this sequence is.
Yeah, the technician doesn't just hand over a massive, overwhelming stack of paper.
No, they present the AI-generated report digitally, usually on an iPad. And there is a very strict 4-part order to this presentation.
Right. The flow is meticulously designed. First, they show the high-definition photo of the defect.
Second, they explain the exact national building code that is being violated by that defect.
Third, they explain why that violation matters. Like, is it a safety hazard that could cause a fire, or is it just a performance issue?
And fourth, they show before and after photos of similar repairs they've successfully completed.
What is truly brilliant about this specific sequence is the psychology of invoking the building code.
Oh, it's genius.
When a typical salesperson points out a flaw, the homeowner's instinct is to think, you know, you are just telling me this is broken so you can take my money.
It's an adversarial dynamic.
Exactly. But by framing the defect around an established national safety standard, Ray completely removes the technician's personal opinion from the equation.
The building code becomes the neutral third-party authority.
It is no longer, I think you should fix this. It becomes a collaborative, well, the national safety standard requires this, and I am here to help you solve it.
It depersonalizes the problem entirely.
It creates a common enemy. The code violation is the bad guy, and the technician and the homeowner are now on the same team trying to defeat it.
I love that framing.
But eventually, someone has to pay to fix the problem. We all know how awkward it is when it's time to talk about the investment.
It's the hardest part.
You don't want the homeowner feeling like they are in a high-pressure hostage situation in their own living room.
That brings us to step 8, the retail close. And Ray mandates a strict 50-50 talk-to-listen ratio here.
The technician cannot just filibuster.
No, They must tie the price directly to the value of restoring the home as an asset and protecting the family.
But inevitably, a high-ticket repair will generate anxiety and resistance.
Always. Which transitions into step 9, narrowing objections.
Ray outlines a beautiful, empathetic process for this. You listen actively, you empathize with their concern, you clarify by repeating the concern back to them to prove you heard them, and you ask gentle follow-up questions.
But there's a physical tactic here that is absolutely fascinating.
Oh, the step away.
Yes, when the tension peaks, the technician will physically step away for a moment. They might say they need to go grab a tool or a specific document from their truck.
This blew my mind. Think about it like releasing the valve on a pressure cooker.
Exactly.
When you are in a room with a salesperson, the pressure is constantly building because you feel this immense social obligation to make a decision immediately.
And the second that technician leaves the room to go to their truck, the pressure drops to 0.
The homeowner can breathe, they can look at their spouse, they can speak freely without being watched, and they can actually think.
It is a profound demonstration of confidence from the technician. Giving the client physical space actually builds massive trust.
It is the ultimate proof to the homeowner that they aren't being trapped or cornered.
When the technician walks back in, those defensive walls have almost always dropped.
And once those walls are down, we hit step 10, the final close. Now, this isn't just asking for a signature.
No. Ray uses incredibly specific, mathematically sound discounts to reward a commitment today without cheapening the brand.
It's not a vague, hey, if you sign now, I'll knock $50 off.
Not at all. It is highly structured. For example, he offers a 4.7% owner's level discount.
4.7?
Yes. The technician explains the exact math. By signing the contract today, the company saves money on administrative follow-up, they save on dispatcher wages, and they save the gas of driving out a second time.
So they are simply passing that exact 4.7% operational savings directly back to the homeowner. Now, I have to push back hard on this. If a contractor sat in my house and offered me exactly a 4.7% discount, my scam radar would immediately go off.
Really?
Yeah. Why not just say 5% like a normal human being? Doesn't that hyperspecificity feel like a gimmick?
I mean, it sounds weird, right?
Yeah.
But it actually achieves the opposite effect.
How?
When a salesperson offers a perfectly round number, like 10% off, the consumer instantly realizes that the price was artificially inflated to begin with. You just made that number up.
Okay, true.
But 4.7%, that is a calculated figure. It appeals directly to logic.
Oh, I see.
It validates the integrity of the original pricing model while still offering a real, tangible financial incentive to make a decision.
Plus, they offer a 3% marketing exchange discount if the homeowner agrees to put a company yard sign out for 14 days.
Because that's money the company would have spent on local advertising anyway.
It's so transparent. Okay, so the contract is signed, or maybe the decision is deferred. Either way, the interaction isn't over.
Step 11 is customer assurance.
If the sale is made, the goal is to eliminate buyer's remorse before it can even take root.
Right. The technician sets highly realistic, often conservative timeframes for the repair.
They thoroughly review the warranty, and they explain exactly when the front office will call to schedule the crew.
They leave absolutely no room for ambiguity, which prevents post-purchase anxiety.
But what if they didn't buy today?
That brings us to the final step, step 12, follow-up.
Ray calls this the relentless follow-up cadence.
And it maps out 40 days of contact for an unsold job.
Right. Day 1, a simple text confirming receipt of the report. Day 3, an email asking if they have any questions. Day 5, an email showing before and after photos of similar jobs.
Day 7 is particularly clever. It's a highly personal text directly from the technician, specifically mentioning a unique detail from their visit.
Like perhaps the name of the family dog or a hobby they discussed.
It reminds the homeowner that they are dealing with a human being who actually paid attention to them.
Then on day 10, an email stating they will quote-unquote pause the file for 30 days.
And finally, on day 40, a final email offering a defined discount window before closing out the active outreach.
Now, I need to stop you there because relentless follow-up sounds exhausting.
It can be.
If a chimney guy texted me on day 1, emailed on day 3, texted on day 7, emailed on day 10, and was still in my inbox on day 40, I mean, I am blocking that number.
Yeah, I get that.
How is this not just thinly veiled harassment that destroys the trust they just built?
If it were traditional, aggressive, just checking in to see if you're ready to buy sales tactics, you would be absolutely right. It would be highly annoying.
Right.
But the genius here lies entirely in the tone and the mechanism of the cadence. Every single touch point is designed to offer objective value or clarity, not pressure.
And that day 10 pause email is the release valve.
Exactly. By explicitly telling the homeowner, look, I am stepping back and giving you space for a month, you completely remove the pressure.
Paradoxically, giving them permission to ignore you often prompts the homeowner to finally reach out.
Because they no longer feel hunted. It maintains a polite, helpful presence without ever crossing into desperation.
So let's bring this all together for you, the listener. Ray Gessner's 12-step process proves that closing a deal is not about aggressive, loud pitching.
Not at all.
It is about extreme preparation, deep psychological awareness, leveraging modern technology like AI, and unwavering transparency.
It's about respecting the client's physical space and their intelligence. It truly is an engineering blueprint applied to human trust.
It systematically removes the friction and anxiety from a transaction and replaces it with genuine collaboration.
It does.
And remember, you do not have to just take our interpretation of this material. You can hear this blueprint broken down by the architect himself.
Do not miss this.
Do not miss the chance to learn directly from Ray Gessner. He is hosting a live 1-hour Google Meet webinar this coming Saturday, March 28, 2026 at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
It is the absolute perfect opportunity to see these 12 steps in action.
You can ask your own questions and figure out how to elevate your own process. Again, that is Saturday, March 28, 2026 at 4 p.m. EST.
It will be an hour incredibly well spent for anyone interested in the mechanics of trust.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over today.
Okay.
Think back to the last time you bought a high-ticket professional service. Did that provider try to sell you with vague promises and high-pressure tactics while blocking your driveway?
Probably.
Or did they collaborate with you, using objective data, empathy, and giving you the physical space to make a decision? How might applying Ray's quantum mindset and his highly structured 4.7% transparency completely revolutionize the way you approach your own industry, or even just your daily interactions? Until next time, keep diving deep.